Hi everyone, we're going to look at some predictions and some Q&A. I might mix it up to be some Q&A and some predictions because I've got quite a few and I'm a bit late, to be honest with you. That Minneapolis pew pew scooter's the wrong word, but it's the nearest word. I actually saw, and it's written in my predictions. I didn't see it from Minneapolis. I saw something that was reminding me of the Southport in the UK, and I saw it linked to a church, and I saw children, and the other thing that I saw was Diana coming into news, not because of an anniversary, but in a big way, and it's kind of like opposing Charles in a way. So she's come through with a time capsule that was in a London hospital that she worked and donated. I think it's 54 million in total for. And they finally opened this time capsule. And I think there was a Kylie Minogue CD and some other bits in it. But I was feeling like Diana was going to crop up in a big way apart from an anniversary. So I think I'm going to do a royal reading. Again, I asked for you to like, subscribe and share, but also comment on the readings that you do enjoy, because I was actually thinking of doing an all signs monthly, but I was looking at Aries, Capricorn, possibly Sag, maybe Libra and Cancer, just because they seems to be the signs that I remember having subscribers that mention things. Obviously, if you are a member, let me know, but it's kind of like a monthly one that's going to be very short, some guidance on what I feel the energies might be for you. If you do want that, let me know and I will do those. So I saw those two things, and when it came up I was like, oh craps. And then I was like, shall I do the Minneapolis reading alone? And I'm thinking to, but I am going to be ruffling feathers, because this guy is deeply disturbed. Let's leave it in case you want a reading on it, or if I do it before you see this. And there'll be several predictions I'm going to try and record because there will be more coming up. If you check the previous predictions, there's a lot that's come through, not just weather-wise, but for example, there's been a diabetes breakthrough through genetic engineering. There's been the airplanes, so there's been United Airlines or commercial airlines in the US, a problem with them. The Manchester airport, 2 airplanes collision and they needed to ground. The alligator Alcaz, is that the one for the migrants? I don't know if in Florida or not. And I said that it would close, but it's not going to close based on inhumane practices, but other reasons. And that just cropped up. There's some other stuff, and I was taking screenshots, and then I thought, sometimes I post stuff and sometimes I don't, and so people might be thinking, oh, she's only got one hit, but it's actually, I'm doing this alone, so I don't have what a lot of other people do have, is where they have people to write their posts or take clip-ups from their stuff. So if you help me grow, maybe I can get that. But if you help me grow, at least I can start to generate, even if it's a cup of coffee. Now, those of you that are members, thank you very much for being a member. The platform does take the majority of it, but it all adds up in the end, doesn't it? And my appreciation. So being late to the ball, that's what I missed. I do want to go through September. I want to give you some dates in September, but with these dates, I want you to look out for September. It's going to be quite tense. And the air, fire, water elements, air, fire, water, missing one, earth elements are big. And I'd say the earth is very big in the first half, first few days. second is big. The problem with what I see in September, it's not going to be one rumble. It's going to be like one rumble, then another, then another. And I'm not doing this to fear. Don't fear, right? But it's kind of like that's the energy. So I'm going to go through some of the energies that I was feeling on specific dates. But please understand that from the 5th and the 6th, something will be different in your time zone. And it might not be related to your country. If you go back, for example, I've mentioned that I think sometime this year there's going to be something, probably September onwards, in Italy, an earthquake. And right now I also get Portugal could be in that. The Ring of Fire or the Pacific, again, I still see that coming up as being critical. And I mentioned previously, I said that there's going to be a lot of leaders that have written stuff and they're going to backtrack on their decisions and what they've rewritten. So when I put like September predictions, sometimes it's not only that month, it goes beyond. So still go back to July, go back to August, go back to the Q&As. You're going to see stuff that comes through. But I do want to say, you know, all the elements will be at play and we still have very strong water. But this month, there is a strong earth as well. And certain dates, the fire comes into play. So that could mean it looks like the earth is shaken, or there's a tsunami, or it's the water and there's the floods and the storms. But it could be an earthquake that's happened in the water, right? We're still on high alert in terms of water, and I think I'm going to end up predicting quite a lot of water until about Feb next year. But let's say the 1st to the 3rd and then the 31st, very high energy on war in the terms of let's just wipe it out. There's a big energy this month of no empathy, no compassion, ego, wipe it out, I want this, and outcries on that. I mean, what's happening in Gaza is just heartbreaking. On my YouTube, the children, there's a child and he's saying in Arabic, this is what I'm eating, it's sand. There's nothing left of the Palestinians. And when we think of the dinosaurs, we think they're extinct. It's horrible. But that's what's being done to the Palestinians. And the problem with that now is that the UK, for example, the UK and other countries are peed off about the immigration, the migrants that are coming illegally. And a lot of these are from African countries. But then any race or any country that's that comes over is going to have some hatred because the government is not allowing its citizens to have a place where they should, and the benefits or the support they need because it's outstretched and things are going in a different direction, received in a different direction. So I'm going to be talking about protests that I think are going to turn out aggressive. I don't know when protests are. I'm not in London right now. But I do think there's protests. I do also see a black flag in London for some reason. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's the air military practicing something. I'm not saying that it's being done in the aircraft, but I do think there's something with the air, the SAS basically. And I see a black flag as well, so I don't know what that's about, but that is that came up when I was thinking of the royal readings as well, because I wanted to do a royal reading on the Black Panther that Charles has had in the woods behind his house, because I think there's a messaging there, and a lot of people will say there is an omen, there's a messaging there, but what I'm talking about, I don't think you would have heard of the messaging that I think is coming through with that for Charles. But there's definitely an omen. It's not only about spiritual protection or higher wisdom that some people might have. I don't have my animal deck with me, but shortly, you know, I'll be back in base, but then I don't know what's sort of happening in for me at the moment. So the war energy is going to be horrible. I'm also going to do a reading on Trump because he didn't get everything he wanted for Russia to go the way he wants in terms of the oil. And so his target now is going to be Russia and India, in terms of, because I said India, I believe, is doing crude oil. I was getting something like that, and sells it. And so, yeah, I might do that separately, or I might include it in predictions, but it is something that I've already noted. I need to get on it because I don't want it. There's high energy for India, and I said India will face difficulty. Internal borders, and I think I saw something crop up, and also internationally, but even internally there's going to be issues, and high energy for India until mid-September. I see that. So okay, so the 1st to the 3rd, earthquakes, and the 31st, earthquakes, warlike energy. And then I start from the 5th to the 7th, I see fire energy coming in. The 6th to the 8th, I see water energy coming in. And I'm talking about disasters. I'm talking about the weather being upset. Between the 9th to the 13th, it could calm down just a little bit, or it could be like aftermath, little rumbles. The 13th, I think, for many of us on an individual level, is going to be tricky. That's what I get. I look at 16th and 17th, you know, there's like, again, the ego of war energy, and there could be high energy in terms of air. So I do aeroplanes, air issues, and air could be hurricanes and stuff like that. And with that, I also then see fire comes back in, and earthquakes is a possibility. The 16th to the 18th, there is a lot of water energy. Back to the water energy is coming through during that time. Around the 20th, I see outcry on the number of people's lives that are going, what is happening in different countries in terms of, you know, the massacre that's happening. It could be individual, it could be massacre of mass crimes, but I'm also talking about war energy, and there's going to be outcries on that, and a lot of outcry energy. The 21st is chaotic as well. Around the 21st is chaotic. So what I mean by that is, where one thing has happened, it's not going to be one. This month, it's not going to be one, it's going to be multiple. Protests that happen is not going to be one, there's going to be multiple. A bit of chaos energy that happens that we're going to see, which is, you know, because when it's multiple, it's going to cause chaos. It's going to cause, the outcry is really on humanity. It's so sad to see this. And the 22nd, there's like a veil that falls, and there's confusion, and there's a hidden scandal, massive scandal, but also there's like any things, trickery and scandals that's being done, is actually having a covert energy, which will get exposure again, but there's a covert energy. We might not see it clearly. Don't be quick to judge from the 22nd onwards. And then the 23rd to 24th could be a bit of tricky days, especially around the 23rd. And again, I see like fear, chaos of fear and outcry on what's happening in several parts of the world, or certain areas of the world, or in certain countries. It could be your country in terms of a crime or something, or it could be the outcry for Palestine. I wish the earth elements would hit the opposing energy over there, calm it down a little. So we're looking really, to summarize, from the 1st to the 10th, you've got high energy on all the elements, which could cause quite other disasters as well. So even electrical fires, right? There's the war, wipe out kind of war energy, where there's the ego, there's the no empathy of leaders. And the 3rd week, and then there might be a bit more calmer energy, and the 3rd week gets crazy and chaotic again, especially nature again. I mentioned this in July, I think. I mentioned I might have said it in August as well, is this is Mother Nature taking back what we've been doing to it as well, not taking care of it. So that's what I get there. Now what I'm going to do is going to go back to, let's see what else. I've got quite a bit, so I just want to cover, let's cover September a bit more. So it's going to be fluctuating energy. I think we may feel in our individual lives and on the global level fluctuations. I would say look at who you surround yourself with, who you listen to. In terms of this, I'm talking about where there could be jealousy and envy of you, and you don't need that in your energy. There's going to be changes to the employment workforce, and we're going to be hearing that, whether it's, you know, more people need to be in the office, contracts of, and I see a large pharmaceutical contract, because I see employment and I see the pharmaceutical, because I do think in, I've been seeing a waterborne disease, and I do think in September that's going to come through if it's not already trickling in a country. So changes employment workforce, but this also could be that, you know, it also, in addition, it's not replacing that a large pharmaceutical takes on, you know, new employees, but then decides actually we're not going to take them on, and doesn't abide by the offer that they've given them, or even they're stepped in or told not to commence. So there's going to be a workforce employment, some sectors that are going to have like maybe protests. And this is not in one particular country. I see it, so it could be in any countries around the globe. And I think there's also the health concern. Look after your health. I do think there's going to be a massive health concern. And it could be around virus. It could also be around them trying to introduce new kind of stuff. Health subjects in the news again. So I dare say RFK Kennedy is going to be in the news. And healthcare policies, I saw this in August coming through for this period, and I do see that again. I think there's going to be a lot of media and platforms that are going to lose their advertising and advertisements, and I see AI impacting the platforms by this as well. So that's something to look out for. It's not going to suddenly happen just in September, but something to look out for. I feel like social media is going. I feel like it's losing its human touch. Well, I see it just going. And then I try to tap in, and I feel like it's losing its human touch. It's, and we're going to see signs of this very soon. And this is strange because we took on social media because it has that human touch. It enables us to connect with other people and find that relatability, where in your close connections or in your close, you know, whoever's nearby, whoever you engage with, maybe that's not there, and you can engage with someone across the world. I don't know why dating apps are coming through, but I don't know if anyone uses them. They're a bit scary, I think. Has anyone found love on dating apps that's successful and still going? But yeah, we flock to social media for human connection and touch, and I believe social media as we know it is dying, so we're going to look out for that. The future of the internet is slowly dying out, and there's going to be some things that is obviously going to replace it. So again, I think we're going to see, we're not quite knowing how that's going to be, very much AI. I also want to say on this note is you're going to probably see more channels using AI to do their content, as opposed to them writing their content. So you're going to see people that are going to be like crispy, clear, orchestrated speech in terms of their delivery. And that's because AI has written it. If not even an AI is sat there doing it. And they have gorgeous backgrounds and high tech, and then suddenly they say something and that whatever they're saying comes down, and which is very nice visually, but you know, it's not that we need to be careful, but there's something about a human saying, I'm just thinking about this for a minute. Oh, a human like this, pausing, trying to think of my words. I think that authenticity we need to keep, because I think there's a danger of people becoming more introverted, more in themselves, more into AI, more into the gaming, and the gaming that's taking over these children that are becoming more and more into crime, because the gaming that's like violence, but just basically getting a pull to all tech and AI stuff. AI is beautiful, for example, in the healthcare, but I think it's going to be important to support those who are providing that authenticity. And not everyone's going to necessarily like that, but I think, to be honest, I can see right now, and I've not seen it on a channel, I don't know why I'm getting this, I'm getting that a lot of astrologers are using AI, like, give me what's happening in September for each sign, get a script, and then they just read it out. Which takes me to something, actually. I've noticed that astrologists, the talented ones, are able to give you for your sign not only like this is a full moon in your fourth house. Your fourth house might mean this. Well, we can Google that, right? I don't want to rub anyone up the wrong way, because I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, but what about the other planets that could mean, yeah, your fourth house, your family, your mom, whatever. But at the same time, you might have this energy that plays out in the background, or could be more. So I'm starting to see that, I've listened to a couple of astrologists for my sign at some stages, and a lot say the same thing that you can Google, but then there's those few that actually add a different perspective, and I'm like, and so that's where I think that's really, really important, to support that authentic talent, those that actually take the time out to do the work, because it is, I know you probably heard this from your channel subscriber, channels you follow, that it's hard work. It's not easy. And so I think the internet's going, I think there's going to be a lot more AI sort of stuff. It might not be visually pow pow wow wow we, but it's important to continue the engagement, because I think even engagement is going to be replaced by AI. A lot of people are going to use AI to engage on their channel, those that are clever with AI, which can get the comments, but it's going to be scripted, no thought, and just have a think on what will that do. That's just a question that I'm posing after all that I've said. Do you want to see more of that and it to take over, or do you want to see more of the authenticity? I do see that some AI companies are going to be really upping their game. They're going to be introducing something new in September. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but I do see an introduction of something. I think we're going to see two major and one not so major big news headlines on underhanded tactics. And this could be crime, could be leaders, it could be a cult, it's corruption. But look out for it. And remember the dates that I said initially, where there could be covert energy. So we might not see it clearly, but if it's beyond that. And then I think we're going to see revelations. I've just lost my note on that. Revelations, and it's basically out there. So I don't know if some of you have noticed that the cults, I've mentioned this, that this is, from last year to this year, a lot is going to come forward on children, traffic, but occults and cults and the exposure of those. And if you notice some of the things that's been happening, they all tie into a higher power, not your leaders, not your celebrities, the higher occult. Think of maybe a green triangle from Quality Streets, but not green. The shape of it. All what we've been seeing, some of the things we've been seeing is signs of that illusion moving away and revelations happening, the exposure of the leaders, the powerful, the Hollywood, the main media, even controlled by, let's say, the green triangle from Quality Streets. And we're going to see more and more signs coming through. It's out there. You might not have connected it to that, but I see it, and it's more signs. There'll also be a massive distraction when there's a massive sign that could link it to this, and people could start linking it. There's going to be a massive distraction to take you away from noticing that. And obviously some people won't notice it. High energy of possible leader, assassin, that is there. But there's also, I see like an Xing or an assassin that gets noted as a unsubscribed stuff because they have said something that is so close to revealing the truth. Now remember, I'm not talking about Giselle here, Ghislaine, sorry, but remember I said she will not tell you what the list is. She will not say what the list is in my reading and in this global psychic predictions. But I'm just saying that there is someone that comes through on that. More on children. You know, we need to protect the children, the rights of children. In your individual lives, you're going to probably see that relationships can get rocky. You might see like a lot of people you thought were in a good relationship actually just suddenly break up. So this could actually mean also famous people that we're aware of, we know their names of. Towards the mid to the end, I see a very vicious attack. This could be around, you know, like a crime. It could be around elements what I've just said. I don't want to go into further. So there's a few things that are happening. And I do think that we have a, we do have some countries that are going to be talking about water shortages. And I'm not just talking about the classic countries of the third world like Somalia that you see. I'm talking about countries where they're saying they've got water shortages. And you might even say, what on earth is that about? But yeah, water shortages. I think, you know, not necessarily in September, but there might be a leader that might be from a Muslim country, or his faith is Muslim or her faith is Muslim. It's not necessarily an Arab Middle Eastern country. Some people will understand this, some people won't understand the difference between Middle East, Iran, the different Middle Eastern countries like Gulf versus Jordan, Lebanon, etc. But it's not necessarily those countries. It gets wiped out, and that's what will be claimed basically. The UK is at a massive boiling point, and especially with the immigration. I see an uproar happening in London. I don't know if they've got marches or protests scheduled in September or anything around that, but I see one, and I see something getting totally out of hand. It's going to be quite aggressive. I also keep seeing Russia pushes people over the border, so they're trying to get rid of people. I don't know if people are trying to come through Russia and Russia sends them back towards the UK or something. There's going to be financial economy issues in September, stock markets, financial economy, and like I mentioned, I do see a bit of a rumble. I'm going to say a bit of a rumble, earthquake, Italy. It could tie towards Portugal as well. And I do think I see a planet or a cosmos that gets hit by something. I don't know if it's a drone or it's something they send up, but like it's a planet or a cosmos that gets hit by something. There's a dent in it for some reason. That's what I'm seeing. And I think I'm going to leave this as the main themes here, and I'm going to do the next recording for covering the next part separately. And I hope you enjoy this. Bye for now.